What's up guys, it's Average Joel making average content for the average viewer. So one thing keeps coming up with regards to Modern Warfare, and that is rushing. I've already made a video about this last week and discussed how I believe that rushing is still a viable tactic in Modern Warfare, but you have to be more tactical with how you rush. However, that has changed for the better with this latest patch. So in this video, I want to give you guys a better understanding on why you are struggling to perform as well with a rushing gameplay style. And as a Brucey bonus, I'm going to share with you my latest favourite class for rushing. If you're new here, it would make my day if you'd subscribe. I put out content like this every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and let's see if we can hit 69 likes on this video. So let's talk about it. Pre-patch 1.07 there was outrage in the community about a few things that directly affected your ability to rush like you have been used to in previous Call of Duties, and these were your footsteps, overall movement speed and the cancerous cockroaches that plague this game, and that is claymores. Now, since this update, we have seen some amazing changes that actually help us rushers. To be clear, when I'm talking about rushing, I mean aggressive play whereby you push the enemy and you're constantly on the move. What I don't mean is sprinting wildly round every corner like you've mixed up a fat line of cocaine and G Fuel. If you do this, then I'm sorry to say you aren't likely to find much success. That being said, it has been made much easier for you to rush, and here's why. The first thing I want to talk about is the change to footsteps. The patch notes say, we have increased the occlusion percentage to filter footstep sounds behind geometry and adjusted the footstep volume at a distance. What does this mean? This means that although footsteps are still loud if you are in the same room as an enemy, there has been a major change to how far away they can be heard, and not only that, but it's now much harder to hear footsteps through walls. This is amazing for people who want to be on the move and rush more. Before, we were punished super hard for that sort of playstyle because it allowed campers to stay in a building with their 725 and just wait to hear footsteps. Because you could hear them clearly from so far away, it meant that these dickweeds, campers, had enough time to make a cup of tea, do a crossword and scratch their itchy vagina before readying up their gun and sending a mouthful of pellets your way. This is why rushing felt so punishing. But now, you are given more of a chance because these campers will only be able to hear you from a much shorter distance, so they have less time to work out which direction you are coming from, making it easier for you to get the drop on them. Then you can kill that pesky camper, and if you feel like it, you can even dip your balls in the mouth of their limp, lifeless, campy corpse. Now, I want to talk about claymores. You know when you're playing Mario Kart and you're in first place and you've saved a green shell and the guy in second place decides he'll be a knob and sends a brown shell up the backside of you, but you counter it with a perfectly timed backwards green shell. The finish line is in sight and you're about to take the win. The kid who's in 8th, who's been playing the whole race like he's got one hand and no thumbs, chucks a blue shell, and there's nothing you can do apart from take it on the chin and hopefully scrape back a 5th place win whilst fucking Toad is on the podium. Well, the Claymore is Call of Duty's version of the blue shell. It only affects the players who have the confidence and the skill to push past the team's front lines. Now before this patch, Claymores were crazy strong. Even if you did spot them and you try to move a bit closer to shoot them, you would either blow yourself up while shooting it or just plain set them off because these things are more sensitive than a Vice journalist. The patch notes for Claymores say this: detonating an enemy claymore with bullets is now non-lethal when at full health. We've also reduced the trigger and damage radius and also reduced the damage width to better match the trigger width. So that is a major nerf to the claymore, and I don't mind telling you it could not have come sooner. But wait, there's more claymore related good news for us rushers. Now, I haven't read anything about this in the patch notes, so my evidence is purely anecdotal, but I have found that when you have dead silence active and you sprint past an enemy claymore, the increase to your movement speed actually gives you enough time to get past the blast radius of that mother sucker. So now rushing into a building with dead silence actively counters claymores, which is frickin' sweet. Now this could also be due to another reason, and that is because I have been mainly using SMGs. In a world of M4A1 choosers and 725 abusers, be an SMG user. If you like that little taste of my rap game, I'll be dropping a mixtape in a couple of weeks. Just kidding. No one this nerdy with a beard this ginger has the right to be a rapper, as much as it pains me to say. But back to my point, the SMGs actually received quite a considerable buff to their movement speed. That means not only can you traverse the map quicker, but if you couple an SMG with dead silence, you run quicker than Dash from The Incredibles in his teen years after he's got some one night stand girl pregnant. Just a disclaimer, I want to point out that I don't condone running away from problems like this. It's much less tiring if you just fake your own death. Now moving on, I want to share with you my current class setup that I've been using for rushing around. And the gun that I've been using is an absolute beaut, the MP7. So let's talk about that. Now, it is up for debate what is the best SMG in this game. Now for me and many other people, it seems it comes down to two, the MP5 and the MP7. Don't get me wrong, the other SMGs definitely have their merits, but when it comes down to just versatility, for me it's one of these two. If you've seen a couple of my other videos, you already know that I am absolutely in love with the MP5. It's the first gun that I got gold and it absolutely melts. That being said, over the past few days I decided to pick up the MP7 and holy Jesus fucking Christ, this thing is a beast. It absolutely shreds fools up close, and with the right attachments you can make this thing super speedy and manoeuvrable for those shorter range encounters, but also you can be deadly at more medium range because of the complete lack of recoil. So let's get on with this class setup. So for the muzzle attachment, I've gone with the monolithic suppressor. Now this is a tricky one really. I found that the compensator is really good because when you use it with the other attachments on this setup, the gun really does become a laser. However, I opted for this suppressor because not only is it giving you better damage at range, making this gun have many more options for engagement distances, but also suppressors also got a buff in the last patch. So now if you're running Ghost and a suppressor, you will never show up on the enemy minimap, which is a huge advantage if you want to flank. With the exception of course if someone has an advanced UAV, but that is quite rare in all honesty. The next attachment is the barrel, and for this I'm using the FSS Recon barrel. This also increases your damage at range, but not only that, it gives you recoil control and faster bullet velocity, which is brilliant on an SMG because it really does allow you to take on gunfights over greater distances. Like, for fuck's sake, I'm not kidding, I've been playing a bit of ground war the last couple of days, and this gun most certainly holds its own. It is a bloody beast. So next, we have the ammunition, and I've gone for the 60 round mags. As standard, this gun comes with a 40 round mag, which is actually quite big in comparison to other weapons. However, because the rate of fire on this weapon is so speedy, you can expend that quite quickly, whereas if you have 60 rounds, you have the potential to mow down 2 or 3 enemies with relative ease. Right, so far all of the attachments have rather been focused on accuracy and range, which are two things that you would not necessarily look for in an SMG, but because of the nature of this little pocket pussy, it already has really good mobility. Wait, did I just say pocket pussy? What the hell does that even mean? Anyway, to counterbalance these other attachments, I've gone with the stock attachment of no stock. Which, when you think about it, really is a bit of an oxymoron because taking the stock off of a gun isn't actually an attachment at all, is it? Idiots. But nevertheless, having no stock means that you have better movement speed and ADS speed, so you can really snap onto your targets, which in a game of people walking slowly around corners and hiding in houses really is a game changer. Now, I will say that the no stock attachment comes fairly late, so I have been using it only for a short while, but it is definitely worth the grind. And in the meantime, I'd recommend that you use the stippled grip tape, as this helps your ADS speed as well as giving you a quicker sprint to fire speed. In all honesty, have a play around with it because you might find that this is more valuable than having no stock, but it's really up to you. Now as far as the rest of the setup goes, I run it pretty much the same as I run my MP5 loadout. Obviously dead silence because in the current meta of the game, it is just so powerful to be able to flank your enemies and sneak up on them worse than old age on a person who's been working the same dead-end job for 40 years. Now for my perks, I'm running scavenger because I'm not running the resupply crate. Tune up, so I'm able to get that dead silence quicker and more often, and for my perk 2 slot, I'm flicking between kill chain and ghost. In all honesty, ghost is probably the better option because it gives you more freedom to roam around the map without people seeing you on the radar. But if you're an average to below average player like me, Running kill chain makes it that much easier to get your high-end streaks like your chopper gunner and your gunship, so I'll leave that one up to you. So there we have it, my updated video answering the question, can you rush in Modern Warfare, as well as my best class for rushing. Now, as a lot of you guys who regularly watch my content know, I like to do something fun at the end where I get you guys to comment something to let me know that you've watched it all the way through. So today, I want to do something to my last video because honestly there were some really funny answers there. I want you to comment a film name but replace one word with vagina. An example of this could be The Vagina Strikes Back, or the British classic James Bond, Dr. Vagina. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're new around here, then please, I would love it if you'd subscribe. That's it from me today. I'm Average Joel. Peace.